it's always kind of sweet when a little bit of what goes around comes around happens. A little bit of the instant karma, even if it has taken some 10 or so, 5 years or something like that. So Sue Doe sends me this tweet. Hey Thunderfoot, have you seen the meltdown that happened with the Atheist Experience? They've been booted from Freethoughtblogs. Oh, that sounds familiar. who I think is Rationality Rules, opined that trans women might be a problem in women's sports. Serious issue, this one. Delahunty defended him. Now half of the ACA has rage quit. And, okay, so me and Delahunty had a bit of a falling out. I kind of forgot what it was about, actually. But it was about, when Freethoughtblogs kicked me off and he was saying how I was, promoting misogynist ideas, and now that's why I got booted off Freethoughtblogs. Now he's being booted off because he's a transphobe. Which is, for me, it's just whipping their way down the ladder to irrelevant targets. Yeah, there's an element that if you want to achieve anything in life, you've got to prioritize your targets. There are high priority targets and low priority targets. And you would rather hope that, a community that actually wants to get something done, you've got to focus on the high value targets. If you start focusing on things like whether trans women are women for the purpose of sports, and that's what's driving wedges through, that's what's dividing up your community, you're not going to achieve anything. Well, I mean, they were never going to achieve anything anyway. But for me, it's a complete non-issue on so many levels. First of all, professional sports really don't do that much for me. It's kind of a freak contest that, the people who tend to be good swimmers have big feet, or, the people who are good in the high jump tend to be tall. The people who are good throwers tend to have big barrel chests. It's not that anyone could train up and become one of these world-class athletes. You need the right type of body to do it. So, the professional sports never really appealed to me that much. And for me, I would be perfectly happy to have unigender sports. Now, of course, it wouldn't be terribly fair in that, men are basically faster and stronger and jump higher and throw further than women. And this is just a quick example. 100 meters dash, it's 9.5 seconds for men, 10.5 seconds for women, which is a 10% difference. This is not something you're going to be able to close by training women to run faster or something. But it was actually, for me, the priority of targets. Things at the top are going to be things like science education, and not teaching things like creationism in schools. If you're going to try to get a scientifically literate population, the last thing you want to be doing is teaching them the pseudoscientific bullshit in schools. Aliens or whatever, deities speaking from burning bushes or any of that sort of thing. But going back a ways to the 9/11 days, Islam was a significant issue. Now it's kind of dropped off the radar in the how would you describe it? The 100% tolerance of anything Islamic has dropped significantly in the West. A few years after 9/11, there was this great protest where, these Muslims holding up signs saying, behead infidels or the such, like in the streets of London. Try that now these days and you'll get arrested and put in jail, which is about right. You can't threaten to kill people who disagree with you, even if it is what your religion says. In fact, the Bible's full of stuff like that. In fact, you could argue in these cosmopolitan times that both the Bible and the Quran should be banned as hate speech because, just take Moses coming back from Egypt, where it takes 40 years to get from Egypt to Israel. which if you do the calculations means that he's moving at about 1/10 of the speed of a snail. And you can't want... Deserts are very difficult to get lost in that every night you see the stars. So all you got to do is keep heading north or east or west or something for a few days. You'll either be dead or you'll get out of the desert. It's very difficult to wander in the desert unless you're an absolute idiot. And what happens? What's the first thing that happens to him when he gets to Israel? Is he gets over the crest of the hill and God says, I give you this land. All you've got to do is kill and displace all the people who live there and it's yours. Which he then proceeds to do. Yeah, that's a really, really heartwarming and inclusive message. Anyway, so where do we get to? Oh yeah, can women? I mean, for me, I'm happy to make it all unisex. The toilets as well. In fact, it's one of the few times when a guy who was pimping Islam actually, I thought, had a good point. Is he was saying, why are you complaining that we segregate classrooms into male and female when you do exactly the same with toilets? And yeah, I mean, if you think about it, why do we have different rooms to poop in? Yeah, all right, the women maybe want some, they do some different things in there, different issues to deal with. But, fundamentally, it's basically a hole to flush stuff down. Do you really need separate toilets for this? But once you come to sports, nah, you put men and women into the same basket there, women will lose everything. And now comes the question, well, what about trans women? Well, again, if you're a woman and you take a load of testosterone, you get banned from the Olympics for taking banned substances. And so if you're taking the exact same hormones but for other reasons, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, that would probably count as cheating. Yeah, it doesn't really matter why you're taking the hormones. If you're taking the hormones, it gives you an unfair advantage. But it's for me, it's a complete non-issue. I don't care about sports, and again, the number of transgender people I've met in my life might be zero. It's anyway. So you read through some of the comments. This is the Reddit thread that they point to. Since the values of the ACA no longer conform to the values of Freethought blogs, and since ACA administrators are reluctant to have a conversation with our administration, which basically means they won't talk to PC Myers, we are terminating our association today. That's from Freethought blogs. And the first comment, I think, sums it up perfectly. When I was in church, my entire life, I always felt like I wasn't allowed to ask questions, make comments that were against the grain. When I finally left the Mormon cult, I thought I finally found a community where that wasn't the case. And more, I feel like I've traded one oppressive group for another. Which is more or less right. I mean, Freethought blogs is, unless you conform to the values of the Freethought... I've got to know, is that actually the title? Oh, it's been deleted. Yeah, oh my god. Okay, anyway, so you come to other articles that haven't been deleted. The atheist community of Austin has drifted out of sync with Freethought blogs. I mean, they really do sound like they're enforcing their purity tests on everyone, and if you don't, then you're out. Tracy Harris, Jen Peoples, whatever, got on YouTube to discuss a rightward slide in the atheist community of Austin and their experiences with the transphobic takeover of the organization. Almost no one ever has met anyone who is trans. how can you have a transphobic takeover? Anyway, like I was saying, there's a hierarchy of, if you're an organization and you want to achieve anything, you need a hierarchy of targets, a hierarchy of priorities. There are high priority targets and low priority targets. If you're to the point where you're splitting your community over some of the lowest priority targets, you're not going to achieve anything. I mean, I knew that when they booted me off after just 1 week for more or less exactly the same reason, apart from they legitimately called me both misogynistic and Islamophobic. Yeah, they were actually calling me Islamophobic back in the days when the people were holding up the signs saying, you know, behead those who insult Islam in London. That's when they were calling me Islamophobic. Anyway, but you know, a community that divides itself over progressively smaller and smaller issues, and unless you're on the right side on all of them, then you're out. They're not going to achieve anything. And so you actually go through some of these, the blogs that they have, just to get a feel for what a ghost town this has become. So let's try By Any Means, which is a bisexual genderqueer atheist who writes about the intersections of social justice and humanism. And their last post was 3 months ago. Let's try the next one. Cobb's Web, last post 6 months ago. Comrade Physio Prof, whatever, last post 2 years ago. Before that, and his entire post was, hope everyone is doing well. And then 2 years before that, his post was not dead. And then another year before that, he's posting about a bug that he found in the streets. So they have all of these bloggers and... seriously, druthers. Their entire blogging contribution is, hello world, welcome to Freethoughtblogs. This is your first post. Edit or delete it, then start blogging. Posted 2 years ago, and they're still not cleaned it up. And there is one comment. What does the comment say? Anonymous says, and oh god, great American Satan. Is there anything good here? Small town deviant. That sounds particularly. Last post over 2 years ago. So yeah, it's largely a ghost town, is Freethoughtblogs. You have to, I mean, that was just sort of sifting through another one that's not posted at all this year. Yeah. Ghost town. Oh no, this one's published. Oh, okay. Which one's this? This is Reprobate. And he's posted, Matt Dillahunty is garbage. And this was posted recently. So yeah, welcome to the garbage, Matt. Glad that we are finally on the well, kind of on the same side. So Matt was very happy when I got kicked off Freethoughtblog. Yeah, I mean, this is basically verbatim the post that Matt Dillahunty made when I got kicked off for being a misogynist and then is Islamophobe. Now, it's, you know, first they came for the Islamophobes. Now they're coming for the transphobes. Anyway, so as you might imagine, this thing doesn't quite get as much traffic as it used to. So back in the days when I joined Freethoughtblogs, they were getting like orders of magnitude more traffic than this. And this was from 2016. This is only a couple of years ago. This is a video I made about that time when they were getting 1/3 hits per month, which is atrocious. Yeah, so my channel is currently not doing as well. On my main channel is not currently doing as well as it used to. It's getting about 2 million hits a month, which, 2 million hits a month, and it's fairly condensed with, how shall we say, on point things. It's like crammed with scientifically useful stuff that people might need to know if they want to understand why this thing that people are selling you is a scam, or that this is scaremongering, or this is scientifically illiteracy in the mainstream media, because they're journalists, not scientists, and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, even at that, I'm getting on for an order of magnitude bigger than the entire blogging network. And you take a look at it now, and they're down to 0.2 of a million monthly. So that's what, divided by 30 would be 10,000 a day. It's not even that, it's about 8,000 per day. But I'm kind of curious who actually reads Freethought blogs. But anyway, yeah, so I thought that was a nice touch, that the purity tests have now claimed the ACA. I mean, just for the record, I had some public punch-up with Matt Dillahunty. I can't remember the details now. I tend to not remember the dramery type stuff. But, beyond that, he was okay in mostly staying on target. Addressing the religious sorts, and he was pretty good when he did it. And it's a shame really now that what gets him kicked off, well, I mean, why they're on Freethought blogs in the first place, I'm not entirely certain. But, that the community should turn on him over such an incredibly petty issue. So, yeah, if you've got any thoughts on that, let me know in the comments below, and see you next time.